B. B and Mel. How's everyone?
Hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, cool. Good. How are you?
Awesome. This is what I have to do on my phone on.
What is it?
I have a reminder every Tuesday that says you have class today.
That's really smart.
Well, with only one day a week, and sometimes I forget what day it is. It's not that I always know that I have class on Tuesday. I just don't always know that it's Tuesday.
Yeah, I totally get that. I had a freak out earlier because I thought it was Monday again. And I was like, nope, pretty sure that Monday is done. We did that.
And this Army job of mine is not predictable whatsoever. Like I spent like 2 hours today sitting in the office trying to get my daughter enrolled in insurance, at work.
Oh my gosh.
The other day I spent a couple hours driving out to the desert to get a locker because I wanted a locker to hang my uniforms in my cubicle. It's just like I just kind of do what I want and no one's in charge of me, and that's bad because I don't have any structure.
Do you have a schedule? Like, do you at least have no schedule at all? That's very weird.
I usually drag my butt in there somewhere around 9. I leave somewhere. Everybody starts leaving around 3, and so I usually just kind of trickle out around then too.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So far, your tax dollars are really being wasted on me, but I did do a good bit of thinking and intellectual work today, and I felt like I was starting to earn some of that Army paycheck. I gotta learn this whole new language of how we manage construction funding. At the Department of the Army level, it's
jeez.
I don't get it. Fun. So I'm like on the phone with people. So, first of all, I learned the word charrette. Does anybody know the word charrette? CHI. It's basically a planning meeting. A charrette. I better look it up. What does it actually mean? But we have charrettes in the world of engineering. Apparently, a meeting in which all stakeholders in a project attempt to resolve conflicts and map solutions. So I arrange a lot of charrettes, and then and from those charrettes we get projects that result in more charrettes, and eventually result in money changing hands and bulldozers arriving on site sooner or later. I don't foresee bulldozers ever arriving on site. That's how far away that is from me right now. It's like
we'll start with insurance. Then you can work on your charrettes.
Here's a Harvard Magazine article, Are Charrettes Old School? Okay. There you go. It comes from the French word en charrette with its image of École de Beau. All right. So we're waiting on Chuck. Chuck is going to talk tonight. Oh, where is everybody? Oh, I guess I'm a little bit early. Had one student say she's having issues and she's not sure she can continue with the class. I'm trying to find out more, but we'll see. And I always hate that. Tomorrow will be a record. I have 3 live sessions tomorrow for the first time ever in my life. I'm just going to leave work with the Army. I've got one at 2:00. Well, one of them is I'm recording my automotive demo with Cliff Zellman. We started that this week. Man, cool. Cliff is awesome to work with, but there's really no acting involved in automotive demos. He's like, remember all that stuff you had to forget, all that radio DJ sound and stuff? Yeah, that's what we want in automotive commercials. And so bring that back. And so it's all just, he says, and luxury car commercials, we say beautiful things that don't mean anything.
Oh, yeah, Andy. Yeah. I'm in an acting class locally with Andy Barnett, and he told me I should say hi.
Oh, I didn't know you lived in that area. Andy Barnett is a super guy, man. I love that dude.
Yeah, I mentioned I mentioned I was in your class, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I met him up in Atlanta or something," and so he told me to say hi.
We did some fun stuff in Atlanta. I don't remember exactly how we met, but we travel in a lot of the same circles. Andy is kicking butt. He is a union voice actor in Kansas City, certainly making $200,000 a year flying out to LA to do stuff with his agents every now and then. I mean, Andy's doing well. Just bought a big old truck and he bought a camper with the little garage in it to drive your ATV up into.
Toy hauler.
And he put the his voiceover booth in there.
That's really smart.
And so we're all still waiting with bated breath to see how it works for him. And stuff.
Can you guys
Hi.
Little person.
Hi.
But
Hi. She's like, whoa.
Those are floating heads.
What's her name, B?
Amelia.
Hi, Amelia.
That was the best thing to greet me on this. I just turn it on. And
There's like a child.
Aw, baby.
Hi, Amelia.
Say hi. No?
like, this was not part of my plan.
Right?
He's
There's
like,
too many
why are there
faces.
floating heads on that screen?
that is so not foreign to a kid. Probably just accepts as normal that there are people.
That's true.
Can't have anything that's up there. She's like, but that's mine, Mom. No, it's
But yeah,
not.
Andy is he's a Walking Dead fan, and I was an extra on The Walking Dead, and we were in Atlanta, and I was like, dude, do you want to go out and eat a burger at Nick and Norman's restaurant in Sonoya and see the wall? The Wall of Alexandria from Walking Dead is right there in Sonoya, Georgia. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Like
He
that.
mentioned that to me, yeah.
it's like little old ladies' houses, and in their yard is the wall. And see walls work, liberals. No. All walls work. Of course they do. The question is what you're doing with the wall. If you just have a wall out in the middle of the woods, nobody's being hindered by it. And if you have a wall to your house, but no one's in your house and no one's been in your house 20 years, then people just break the windows and come in and take the stuff out of your house. Walls only work if there's some sort of threat of someone harming you as you pause at the wall, right? So we do obstacles a lot in the Army. We'll put barbed wire. You can't just put barbed wire out in the middle of the woods and hope that soldiers will come through and go, oh, barbed wire, this is terrible. You got to be there waiting on them when they get hung up in the barbed wire, right? And then they go, barbed wire, we got to figure out a way around this. And that's when you shoot them, right? Or they go, let's go around over there in that big opening. That's the opening you left on purpose because that's where you're shooting.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh my God.
that's where people say, walls don't work. We arrest all of our criminals at the legal ports of entry. Right, because that's the easy way in because there's a wall. Everybody avoids the wall and goes in the hole in the wall. I'm just messing with you guys. I don't know. I really don't know about the wall. I just know about walls in general, how they work. Right? Like I have walls in my house. I don't just have my belongings out in the yard. So walls in general work. I don't know if this wall works. I know that 2 miles from here is one of the most dangerous cities in the world, and I'm in one of the most safe cities in the world. I know that. But that could be walls, aerial surveillance, law enforcement officers, armed residents. There's a lot of things going on in Texas that I don't know.
It's a combination of many variables.
But guys, I'm gonna tell you what, El Paso is awesome. I'm in love with this place. You guys need to. It's the weather is amazing. It's like Los Angeles. It's the mountains are gorgeous. The culture is like insane, like nothing I've ever seen in my life. It's just, I've never seen such a blend of cultures all in one spot. All just happy to be there with each other. Nobody really. Anybody that says El Paso sucks, I'm like, you must think every place sucks. Great restaurants, great chefs and stuff downtown. Downtown's all funky. I'm not cool enough to hang out downtown really, but I've been to 2 really great restaurants, and where one of them had a dress code. I always felt like I would go in one of those restaurants and they would be like, "Perhaps, sir, you'd be more comfortable in this," and hand me a sport coat. Or perhaps this would do more nicely, and they hand you a tie. I don't know. That didn't happen, but I felt like that was the kind of place. Well, we're just waiting on Chuck. Maybe he's not coming. So, hey, and looks like nobody else. What do we got? We got 7 people here, so that's 6 students. We're missing 4 students. We're missing Scott Saxon. We're missing Ariana. We're missing I'm doing Phil, and we're missing one more. Braden. Yeah, I'm doing this by memory. Very good. So let me give you my endorsement up front. Recently, I was sold on this might have been Barnett that told me about this. I don't know. This is I don't know if you can read the label. I find this on Amazon. This is Ninjam Pepakoa. Of course, Ninjam Pepakoa, and it's a. I make a tea out of it. It's what I'm drinking right here. It's basically this syrupy liquid, and it almost tastes like cough syrup, but not bad like cough syrup. And here's why it almost tastes like that. Well, it says Ninjam Pepakoa herbal dietary supplement with honey and loquat. And so it's got, I'm so old I can't read this. Let's see. Sichuan fritillary bulb, loquat, adenophora root, poria, pomelo peel, Piaticodon root, panella rhizome. I don't read poorly. This is really fine print. Sandra fruit, trichosanthe seed, colt's foot flower bud, polygala root, apricot seed, or apricot if you're from Mississippi, ginger, fresh rhizome, Chinese licorice root, apricot seed extract, menthol, and honey. It's the menthol that kind of has that cough syrupy vibe to it. There's Phil. But it's legit and it's good for your throat. And I bought 3 jars of it this size for like $22 on Amazon. But my wife says she found what she believes to be the equivalent of it at Walmart today with like the same ingredients. So I can't wait to go look at that and see, because I'm all about Walmart running every other business in the world out of business. I would vote for Walmart for president. I like Walmart. Walmart was a mom and pop shop at one point or another until they decided not to suck.
I think I would be terrified if Walmart was elected president. Imagine the entourage of apparel that everyone would be wearing out in public.
I think
everywhere.
I think I'm wearing a Walmart shirt.
But think of the greeters. I want that in real life.
People are showing up. All right. So let me text Charles Cody Huber.
So, Andy, why are you backing this product that I'm not going to attempt to
Ninja Cola.
Yes, why?
It's awesome for your throat. It keeps me kind of recharged. At the end of this class, I've got tons of stuff to record. And so it just keeps, and there's a lot of dust, and I'm always feeling like I'm pretty strained. And this just kind of brings me back.
If it lasts longer than 4 hours, consult a doctor.
Ninja Pepacoa brings you back.
All right. Well, thank you. Now that I can now appreciate this product placement.
So here's
It sounds like those things like you'd see at the checkout at 7-Eleven where it's like the teeny tiny pills and the package always has a rhino or a cougar or something on it.
Or a naked Korean lady.
Same diff.
Yeah. There. So somebody in one of the voiceover forums, and it may have been Andy Barnett, who Jenny was just talking about, was recommending this. And so I said, you know what, I got to get something like that, especially in the winter. Sometimes my throat's gone. At the end of the day, I need my voice to go deeper sometimes. And at the end of the day, it's usually gone. I go low and I cozy up on this monitor.
Do you have to mess with that bag?
She has to.
Oh, it's so loud. No loud.
Huber. Here we go. I'm going to exercise. There he is.
It's Chuck.
1 week later.
Escaped his car.
With a Star Trek shirt, too.
So Jenny, over in your neck of the woods, Chuck and I will be at Branson Con this weekend, which is
nice.
2 hours from Kansas City, I think.
Mm-hmm.
About 4 hours from St. Louis.
About 4 from St. Louis, about 3 from Little Rock, if anybody's down that way. It's not really near anything. Got to fly into Springfield to get there, so it's going to be fun. It's a great little town. I love Branson.
I'm excited. I'm happy to be going, man. I'm stoked for it.
You're gonna love it so much you're gonna bring your family there later.
All right. If you insist, I will.
My whole family's coming in for spring break. We're staying a week, so.
Oh, are you really?
Oh yeah, man. The convention basically is paying for my rental car and my plane tickets there. I didn't get free plane tickets because when I negotiated it, I was gonna drive, and now I'm 15 hours away. So,
right.
Oh well, it's all good.
Yeah, nothing you can do about that.
Nope. So what's up?
It's been a week, man. I've had a week of a couple weeks, man. It's been serious business around here. It's good stuff, though. I am starting a new round of classes tomorrow, and the interesting thing that happened was I'm a big fan of mistakes. I'm a huge fan of mistakes. And I made a mistake and had to miss a class because of a session. And so in the last class, I ended up missing a class. And then I kept trying to make up the class, and there was no way to make up the class. So I finally decided that I was going to make up the class by adding an hour to two classes that were already scheduled, because my classes are normally 2 hours. And so I had just added an hour to the two final classes. So my two final classes were 3-hour-long classes. And it was the greatest mistake I've made in a long time, because just changing the format from 2 hours, B is substantiating the fact that it was on, just changing the format from 2 hours to 3 hours completely changed the whole dynamic of the class. It changed how we were relating to each other. It changed my pace. It changed how much the students felt. Oh, I've got paper in the way. Let me move the paper. How much the students felt they could contribute and talk. And because of that, because of this mistake, this thing that bothered me, like I was supremely bothered, number one, by missing the class, because I was down at the studio and the electricity went off and the studio session went long and blah, blah, blah. I couldn't do the class. But it troubled me so bad. I was so angry about it. And then I tried to make up the class, and then I couldn't make up the class because of the film thing. And like I kept trying to make it happen, and I couldn't get the makeup class to happen. And it was making me feel bad, and I was feeling frustrated, and I was feeling like a failure. And I would think about not having the makeup class happen, and I would feel bad. And I didn't know that whole time, like, the universe was like, trust me, Chuck, I got this. This thing's going to be okay. Just go ahead and you'll figure it out eventually. But when I added that hour to those two classes, the transformation that happened in the class was so palpable, it was so obvious, that I had to switch all my following classes to 3-hour classes. And because it just made so much more sense, and it made the class so much better. And consequently, it gave me back more time and allows me to put more time into the students when I have time with them. So the point of this one is that, and this carries over to every mistake, every frustration, every problem, every bad thing that happens in your life, quote unquote, everything that you're bothered by, there is nothing lost. There is something to be gained from it. And it was such a concrete example of a mistake and something that bothered me and something that made me frustrated and feel like a failure. The end result was something that was so much better than anything I would have ever chosen to do on my own. I never would have chose to make the classes 3-hour classes instead of 2-hour classes. Never, 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 never. Maybe not never, but this was definitely the shortest route to it. And it's the secret, the golden secret behind all troubles. The golden secret behind, all strife, all problems. And it's typified in the allegory of the butterfly. And it's a common allegory for strife. And it's the idea that you see a butterfly struggling to get out of its cocoon, and it doesn't look like it can get out. And you may have the intention to help the butterfly. So you may take out your scissors or your knife and help cut it from the cocoon because it doesn't look like it's going to get out. But when you do that, when you eliminate the strife and struggle of the butterfly getting out of the cocoon, its blood doesn't fill in its wings. And if you cut it from its cocoon without it wriggling and struggling for sometimes days to get out of the cocoon, if you cut off that difficulty that it has to endure in order to receive its new life, its wings don't fill with blood and it can't fly. They end up being floppy. They can't use them because they didn't go through the struggle that pressed whatever it is that presses itself into butterflyness on the way out of that cocoon. That's what gives it its strength. That's what allows it to fly. That's what makes it strong. That's what makes it what it is. It's not a butterfly if it doesn't go through that struggle. And this is tangential, but the transformation that happens inside a cocoon is amazing. And the transformation goes like this. I always used to think like a caterpillar cocooned itself and then started kind of sprouting wings in the cocoon and started turning into like growing into a butterfly. But that's not what happens at all. When a caterpillar goes into a cocoon, it completely turns to liquid and then becomes the butterfly. It doesn't move itself from caterpillar to butterfly. It goes from caterpillar to liquid to butterfly. It's amazing. And that process in terms of ideas or in terms of transformation inside ourselves or in terms of the way we look at a class and change our perception of it, or the way we look at ourselves and change our perception of it. A lot of times, in my experience, it's a lot like that, the experience of the caterpillar. There is a transitional moment because we all want to go from A to B to C. We all want to go from this thing and have ourselves grow into the next thing. And that's not the way it works a lot of the time. A lot of the time, and there is regular growth, there's strength, there's training, there's all that stuff. But a lot of the transformational things that happen through that abandonment into amorphous, I don't know what is happening, which happened to me. Tried to schedule it in a small scale. Tried to schedule the class. It wasn't happening. It was amorphous. I didn't know what to do. And then bloop, it changed into this new thing. A lot of times we end up, yes, destruction and creation. It's exactly it. But a lot of times internally, our internal disposition towards ourselves, many times we think we want it to be a process from A to B to C to D, and we can be present and cognizant of all the steps that happen. But so many times that transformation doesn't happen until you are just complete goo, until that idea that you held on to that you want transformed, until that idea turns completely to mush. And then the new idea emerges. It's what I often say about being stuck, about how I love to be stuck. And I say, I don't really mean that, universe. I love to be stuck because I know for a fact that I can start to get excited when I'm stuck, because I know nothing lasts forever. And I know that the next step out of stuckness is into unstuck. The place you go next when you're feeling burdened is unburdened. And sometimes it goes on longer than you want it to, for sure. I've definitely had some struggles in my life that have persisted for years. And that to me is a sign that I have not embraced the amorphous goo of transformation. And I don't know what that means exactly, but I can sense it when I do it. When I accept that this transformation does not happen, this change does not happen without complete abandonment. Because there are some chasms in your life that are so wide, you can't jump them in 2 jumps. There's no way to boink, boink, or to 3 jumps over the chasm. It's 1 leap over, and you can't do it. Embrace the goo. It is very Zen. I've always been a huge fan of Zen, more so of Taoism. I'm a Taoist. My philosophy is Taoism by nature and by practice. And I was really encouraged to know that philosophies don't necessarily have to be religions. They're algorithms for thought. And algorithms for thought, processes that you use to think, to create, to manufacture in your world what you want. Those processes are not always linear, but they're so useful. The ability to see yourself and have ways of thinking that you've decided exist, not ways of thinking that are put upon you or ways of thinking that you think you're supposed to do, but when you actually take the steps to say, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to think. And this led to, and this was said in the last class, and I'll share it with you guys. There is a prejudice against strong emotions. We have all these emotions, love and joy and gratitude and peace and kindness. And there's all these ones that we respect and say are okay. And then when we get to like rage or desperate despondency or depression or fury or anger or frustration, like we somehow say those are bad. And the discovery I made this week in terms of, and I expressed it in terms of trauma integration, because we are moved by the bad things that happen to us when we're young. And the younger we are and the worse they are, the more we're moved by them without our consent. And the body has a system to help us deal with those. And part of that system is those really strong emotions. When you feel rage or anger, frustration, or hopelessness, those are not bad things. You are not a bad person for feeling those things. But those emotions are signals. They're little signposts, little flags that allow you, usually not while actively in the emotion, but if you have those emotions and you're able to stick a little flag in it and say, that emotion just happened, and allow it to subside, and then reflect on it. It's such a powerful emotion that it should be a really good bookmark in your day. And a lot of what we do is try to rationalize or excuse those strong emotions away in terms of it was his fault, or if they would just, or if only people would. You have all these ways of saying it's someone else's fault, this rage, this frustration, this anger, this hopelessness. It's somehow somebody else's fault. But when you own it and you put a flag in it and you reflect on it and you allow that to be the lens through which you see some past events in your life that also felt like that, a lot of times that's a way of removing the blinders from yourself so that you can perceive what it is that's causing you to react in certain ways, that you can see the trauma or the moment or the thing that happened to you in the past. And all it takes is recognizing it. All it takes is seeing it and saying, that's okay. And just the radical idea that somehow your, quote, negative emotions have an incredibly positive purpose redefines them, retells the story of that emotion immediately. Because now when I have hopelessness or despair or rage or anger, frustration at the world or whatever it is, now I'm not beating myself up for having that emotion. I'm reflecting back on it, trying to see what it's connected to, trying to see where it leads me in my thought pattern in the past. And sometimes it's not even necessary to see where it's actually connected in the past. Just that process of being like, that emotion that happened is okay because it's pointing to something in my past that needs attention. And just the fact that you're saying that it's okay will start to integrate that emotion so that those reactions that are difficult for humans to control become more subdued, so that they are less and less of a they pull you less and less, they dictate to you less and less, and you start to be the master of them. So you still feel them and you still struggle with them and you still struggle with how you behave during them, but you're not looking at them as a bad thing you did, as a bad thing you felt. Suddenly that emotion becomes something that is good because it's a map, it's a signpost to guide you towards knowledge of yourself. And knowledge and control of self, knowledge and the ability to see one's own actions, that's what actors need to perform. You need to be able to see what it is like inside the character's life. And to do that, you have to be the most whole, most functional human on earth. I know a lot of times people think that actors are supposed to be broken and full of, quizzical nonsense or whatever, but that is not, that is a certain type of one-trick pony actor. The true craftspeople who do this job are the ones who are able to, with Spock-like mentality, examine their own selves and in that same way examine the character. And that makes it so much easier to fall in love and fall into the characters you play, because suddenly you understand them, you know what's going on. And that is the most powerful and shortest route to performance, is being able to say, I know what's going on here. I know what this guy is doing. I know what this character needs. And once you have that, all the craft and technique is almost unnecessary. Then it becomes just the same job you had when you were a 4-year-old playing with your mom's nail file. This is my nail file. I've bitten my nails for I don't know how many years, and this is the best they've ever looked in my life. I'm very proud of them. I haven't bit my nails in a while. They're not bloody. They're still incredibly short, but and my nail file is helping me do that. But that's it for today. These struggles that we go through, these things that we face, the strong emotions that we have, they're not bad. They're uncomfortable. I certainly love fireworks and snuggles with my daughter over horrible hopelessness. It would be sick if somebody loved horrible hopelessness more than playing Pictionary with my children. But when we're in those struggles, it does not necessarily mean that they're bad. And framing things that are difficult, whether it's getting up this morning and I don't want to do my push-ups, or I don't want to pay my bills, those tiny struggles are just the same. And learning that the struggle is good and the suffering is necessary. That's the enlightened. I mean, that's the enlightened path. That's the person. And suddenly they don't look like they're struggling, and you're like, how can you be so? I was always so jealous of those people who were seemingly unmoved and unflappable in the midst of what I saw as utter chaos. And it doesn't come about through accident. It comes about through practice. It comes about through using your brain to focus attention on what is actually happening instead of what you are trying to dismiss or rationalize away inside your head. Being present to what is actually going on now inside of you and with the people around you, that's the true human skill. And that is the skill of the actor. The actor's best friend is flow and presence and now. Because that's what you do when it's time to do that audition. You can't be in the future. You can't be in the past. You got to be right there with the character. You can't be thinking about whether it's good or bad. You just have to be doing it. And that's the same with our life. We just have to be doing it. We can't be too far ahead or too far behind ever. Reflection is good, especially reflecting back on some of those stronger emotions, and when needed, reflecting back with gratitude on all the things we have. And it is good to look forward, but not too far forward. You got to plan. You got to make choices. You got to put habits of identity in place. But generally speaking, being right here, right now, is where we are. Wow, I just quoted a song from the 80s. Right here, right now. Yeah, anyway, that's where you're supposed to be. And that's it. That's all I have tonight.
Hey, Chuck, I have a question for you.
Sure. I got time tonight. I didn't teach a class. I'm just chilling.
So, in a little reflection here, you mentioned earlier about being stuck and the whole cocoon process.
Right.
Can you tell me a time that you were stuck and how you got out of that?
How I got out of it. Okay, I'm gonna have to make this quick because a producer friend of mine said, "Call me ASAP. Are you in town?" And he's in the middle of making a movie, which probably means he needs me on set tomorrow. How I get unstuck is through the presence of now, through being now, and able to do that. The more I'm able to proceed forward, the more I'm able to make myself realize what's happening. Okay, I gotta go. I gotta call this producer back. It's important. I love you guys, and I will talk to you next Tuesday.
There you go, right here, right now. All right, good.
What an exit!
I know. I was trying to time it just right. And he's like, "All right, I gotta go," and he left, and so he probably missed it. But good question, Scott Saxon. It was always nice to pick the brains of guys that. I mean, Chuck went to school for acting and stuff, so I'm kind of having to learn as I go. So I was mentioning before that I'm doing a demo right now with Cliff Zellman, the automotive guru, and automotive spots are a little different. If you've ever listened to an interview with Cliff, and they're out there, I think the Let's Talk voiceover podcast has one with him in it. Car dealers aren't really commercial producers. They produce commercials, but they're not commercial producers. They kind of have a format they do, and if you send them their commercial demo, they don't get it. They for most of them, they can't imagine what you would sound like in their spot. Whereas if an ad agency will listen to my demo and go, "Oh yeah, I liked how you sounded in the Advil spot. That's what we're looking for in this spot." Car dealers are like, why doesn't he just send me some sample car commercials? That's what they want to hear. And they don't pay super well, but they pay a lot I've mentioned this several times, and so I'm excited about it. Anyway, Cliff's demo was about $2,500, and he gave me several industry discounts and a military discount. And he said, if you join World Voices, I'll knock off another $100. So it's $1,900, still expensive. But I will tell you that this process, we've met, what is this, Tuesday? We've met 3 nights in a row. We're going to meet tomorrow for, I think, not a final session, but he's given me 2 scripts, and I'll go over them, and he'll say, okay, all right, so just give me a read, just listen to it. And then he says, okay, now let's go back, and I want it to kind of go like this. Give me a little musicality in there. This line here, I want you to say as if you're saying, this is no big deal. Read this line this way, as if it's no big deal. He says, on this one, give me he says, I'm looking for a rhythm in these 2 words next to each other. And so he's really a musical guy. And it's been really cool to work with him. And then about halfway through the session, he'll start off on some tangential conversation, and then he tells you later that was on purpose to get your mind out of what you were doing so you could come back with a fresh read. I mean, he's just brilliant the way he does it. So he's been really fun to work with on this. And so I've decided at this point in my life, bear in mind, guys, I haven't always had a lot of money. This time last year, I was like every month wondering if I was going to pay my bills, but I was a full-time voice actor. But the Army has added a full-time salary to my voice work, and my voice work has started to increase too. So I've got a little money. And so I contacted Chuck Duran a couple of days ago, and I emailed him. I said, hey, man, let's talk about doing a demo. And he said, yeah, I did listen to your demo. You got a good voice, good sound, but the demo's a little old and dated, so you're right, you do need to update it. Chuck's $2,500. If you buy 2, he'll discount them to $2,250. Woo, yay. And he says he also has like career coaching, business coaching for another $1,250. And I said, while that sounds amazing, I need some referrals. Tell me somebody who's gotten that from you, because I want somebody to tell me that was worth $1,200, because Chuck says it's worth $1,200, and it probably is for somebody like Phil who's in LA. But I don't know that Chuck's coaching for me in El Paso or in Mississippi or wherever I end up is what I need. And so I need to know. Tell me some people who've taken your $1,200 coaching. And if nobody has, then let's talk about you giving it to me for way cheaper, and then I'll endorse it or give you feedback on how to make it better. Melanie, you emailed Chuck this week? Really? You're going to get a demo with him?
Oh, I'm like way off from that. And I told him that. And he like sent me this list of questions. He was like, whenever you're ready, just get back with me or whatever. Yeah. But I mean, he was super nice. And I love that video you posted. And his vibe is like really, I don't know, I really liked it. So I was just like throwing it out there and being like, hey, how much? Chuck's
fun. He's a bubbly person. And if you like podcasts, VO Buzz Weekly is the prolific podcast. There must be 400 episodes of that. And it's a video podcast. So it's on YouTube and on some other channels as well. But yeah, he's really neat, and he could pull a lot of good stuff out of you. And I told him, I'm not against the idea of flying to LA, spending $300-400 on a plane ticket in the hotel room to get there and do it, if I can fit it in my schedule, which probably means on a weekend. So he'll probably just want to do it live, like on Zoom, the way we're doing here. But anyway, I just wanted to tell you guys that I've been toying with that, and I haven't contacted Will Curtis yet for my video game demo. But Cliff's automotive processes. So we're going to record a 6th or 7th script tomorrow. And then I'm going to be gone for a week on spring break while he can play with it and figure it out. And then we're going to edit it 3 or 4 times. Cliff likes to edit and rearrange. And so it's going to be a really well thought out, a lot of effort put into it demo. So I'm excited to share that with you guys probably in a month from now. But you guys will get to hear my automotive demo. And I'll share with you Cliff's insights on how to land those automotive clients. I had an automotive client earlier last year. And they wanted to give me $150 per spot, and they were paying their current guy, a radio guy, $125 per spot. I think he and I were Facebook friends. And it was an RV dealership. They had 5 dealerships across the South, and they were looking for a Cajun accent for one of their dealerships because it was in Breaux Bridge, Louisiana. And on voices.com, I had that I could do a Cajun accent. And I can, because I spent some time in Louisiana, and there's 3 or 4 Cajun accents, but I'm kind of like Southern. I kind of got that one. And so I sent it to them. They liked it. And they said, if you can do it without a Cajun accent, we'd love to have you for the other 4 dealerships as well. And so we started haggling back and forth. And I made the mistake of going to social media and asking people what I should be charging. for this. And of course, you get, oh, I wouldn't do it for less than $500 a spot. Oh, you need to preserve the industry, blah, blah. Well, but there weren't a lot of people answering me who did automotive spots. And I've learned that 125 is pretty standard for an automotive spot. It's pretty much what every car dealership in the country pays for every radio spot ever. And people were just all over, oh, well, I had a customer paying me $300. Well, so I've got one anecdotal story and nothing else. And so we just never could come to agreement, and I lost the client. And it was gonna add up to about $17,000 a year. Not a lot, but a lot. I made $17,000 my first year teaching. That was my initial salary yearly, $17,500. There's $500 for a bachelor's degree with 0-year experience teacher in 1997. But then they had the potential to go to another client. So I just kind of blew it because I just didn't know. So a lot of voiceover I'm finding is just learning as you go and figuring out. So sometimes when you're paying $2,000 for a demo, that's part of your price of admission, but it's also part of the network you just made, because Chuck Duran knows people, a lot of people. And while he's not a casting agent, he even says on his website, sometimes somebody says, hey, I need a millennial female. And he goes, oh, you know what? I just recorded a demo with Melanie Scroggins last week. Melanie, give us a take on it, and he'll just send out and say, hey, give me a quick audition on this. And maybe he sends it to 5 people. Well, I'm going to tell you what, if Chuck sends it out to 5 people, that's better than getting it on voices.com with 5,000 people. And 150 submit an audition. And 98 of them are bad, and 40 of them are worse than that. So it's, there a lot of it is just getting in there. I'm learning with my agents that some of my agents I've never booked a job with, but I'm learning sometimes if I book a job with an agent, they're much more friendly to me because, of course, they made money on it, and they're much more likely to send me stuff again. And so, and we'll talk about agents later on. I've got over a dozen agents, and sometimes I get the same audition from 5 or 6 of them. And so the rule really is first come, first serve, but not really. The rule really is who are you most likely to get the job with? And so if I've got an agent over there in Florida who likes me and we have a relationship, and she may only submit 5 auditions to the client, maybe she's going to submit mine because we're buddies. Or if I've booked 3 times with this agent already, he likes making money for me. He knows that I'm bookable. He's going to stick me in, even if he doesn't really feel it in my read, because he thinks the client's going to feel it. And so is this industry who you know? It's not so much who you know, it's building up who knows you, I think is maybe it, which is all about marketing. All right. That's totally not what I was going to talk about tonight. We are going to talk about, oh my goodness, that's good because there's not a lot to say. Some of you are old hat, and so for the next few lessons, you're going to be like, I already know all of this. Some of you who are making money, who are winning auditions, who are auditioning a lot on, who are paying money to be places where you can get auditions. Some of this won't be new, but you may have insight, so please do share. As you go on, Steve, I know at a minimum you've been on voices.com because that's the only place they cast Marvel Avengers Academy, except for the 8 or 9 lead. John Cena is in Marvel Avengers Academy. They didn't find him on voices.com. And what's the guy's? What's that actor's name? That played Iron Man.
Robert Downey Jr.
No. In Marvel Avengers Academy. No, Robert Downey Jr. He's huge. They didn't find. I'll find him in a minute because we're going to go to one of these websites. So anyway, what we're going to talk about tonight is really aimed a lot at those of you who haven't done a whole lot, who maybe struggled at the beginning of this class just getting an audio file saved and put somewhere, and submitted somewhere. Those of you who could right now record an MP3 and send it to me by email, you may be past this, maybe not. But we're looking at free and cheap voiceover work is really what we're looking at right now. Now, let me preface all this by saying there's not a lot of place for free and cheap voiceover work in your life, okay? After a while, that gets really old, unless you just really are excited to talk and just want people to hear you. So, but for most of us, we would like to get a little compensation for it, and we would like to feel a little more valuable than doing a bunch of free stuff for 15-year-old video game developers. But when you're first starting, a couple of free gigs is really great experience. And I probably did 4 or 5. I remember I don't even know where I found her, but she was a producer. And my gosh, that word, producer, oh my gosh, I've made it. This producer wants me in her production. She had a TV series she made. It was only on YouTube. It was 4 episodes. I don't even remember the name of the show now. And she wanted radio and like a car dealership commercial announcer in the background, just like while the main character's in the car riding down the street, there was something going on in the radio. And I was that free voice. And they put me in the credits. And her name was like Rebecca Wu. She was Asian. And it was H-U or W. It was 2 letters. And I mean, like, I had her like in my list of clients on voices.com, Rebecca Hu, producer, right? Turns out a producer is anybody who's making anything, okay? I have now made videos saying, hey, come see me at blah, 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 Comic-Con. Okay, so now I'm a producer, right? I made it in iMovie, and I threw some videos on it and some text, and I'm a video producer. That's about on the level she was, a little bit higher. But I did it for free. I was excited about it. I got a gig somewhere, maybe on Craigslist or somewhere else, free online, and I ended up as a voice in a Star Trek fan fiction audio series. And this dude was big. He had like gotten permission from Star Trek to use their theme music and stuff like that. But it was so terrible that I wouldn't have shown it to anyone. I think I found it recently for one of my classes. It might have been Sarah Ruth's previous class, but really my impression of it was the guy who was making it so he could be the captain in his Star Trek series. He was really bad. Almost everyone else was really bad. And when I listened to it, I go, even 5 years later, I'm like, I was pretty good. I was the guy on the radio, like, Roger Valkyrie, you are cleared to land. I'm that guy. And then I was like the guy at the beginning, this has been a Glass City production. And even on my little cheesy mic, when I did, I sounded a lot better than a lot of people. And so it didn't take me long to say, I'm not doing this anymore. That was a pain. That was embarrassing. It's certainly not anything that's adding value to my resume. But it was pretty cool at first that somebody wanted me and that I got to be in a production and hear things. It was awesome. And I've done some others, and I think I got a $70 gig on Craigslist, like doing meditation affirmations. Like somebody wanted to listen to affirmations while he worked out, but he didn't like his own voice. And so he would listen. Now he works out, I guess, listening to me say things like, you are stronger than an average man. At parties, everyone laughs at your jokes. Women want to make love to you. In the gym, you can lift more weight than other people. It was this kind of stuff. And he $70 or something like that. So those gigs are out there. And it's affirming that someone wants you for something. But after 3 or 4 of those, you go, okay, let's see if someone wants me for something better. And you just keep improving and taking classes and buying better gear and hiring somebody. Take that $70 and hire somebody to help you get your sound better, and all that. And so, and you build it up. So let's look first at probably the most well-known of the free, cheap places to go. Let's see if I could screen share here. Where is it? Google Chrome. Casting Call Club. All right. Raise your hand if you've been to Casting Call Club before. Yeah, quite a few of you. A lot of video games and animations here. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. Now, I've got several friends who kind of run Casting Call together. Chad Fisher is one of them, and Chad just moved to LA and is going to acting school. But Chad's making money in VO. The guys that are running Casting Call Club probably never auditioned for anything on Casting Call Club. But it's a great place to start. It's a great place to find people who just are looking for you. And here's the deal, too. If you're brand new and you're not really that great, and somebody's paying $5 for a role, your confidence level is a little higher, too, because it's not like somebody's paying $1,000 and you're scared to death. If they're paying $5 for the role, you're just like, he and I are on the same level. This guy can't really, he's not intimidating. He's probably 12. Okay, so create project, open projects. Here we go. Open projects. Is that where I go? I think it is.
That's correct.
All right. And I've had students in my class before who've done a gazillion projects on this website. And finally, I'm like, okay, you're past that. Time to start spending your time finding someone to pay you better than that. Although the projects are fun. Okay, and something's not happening here. Maybe I could log in.
Oh, yeah. If you're not logged in, they won't let you view projects.
Oh, well, I don't even know if I know my username and password anymore. We're going to see. All right. Good old standard password.
That was a fluke.
I'm going to go ahead and save that. Okay, so here we are. Open casting calls. Hooray. Casting calls is also something you can search for online or on Twitter, on places like that. So here we go. And we've got over here new unpaid casting calls, new paid casting calls, pro unpaid, pro paid. So, and you can go down here. So let's see. Let's go with just paid. So these are all paid casting calls. And you can see there's little dollar signs over here. All right. Now, there is no level of paid. If they are paying $5, then it is in the paid category. If they're paying $500, it's the paid category. And I have seen $200, $300 jobs on Casting Call Club before. It's rare. Let me go to Pro Paid and just see. Here we go, Pro Paid here. There are no pro level jobs right now. Pro unpaid, 1. Sci-fi audiobook. I'm going to skip that because I don't do audiobooks because I hate them. So let's go to paid. I'm going to go to male for now. Girls, there's plenty of female roles on here too. I wouldn't worry about union status. I don't think anybody who's casting on here really even knows what that means. But anyway, what did I do? Wait a minute. I screwed something up. Okay, here we go. 31 paid casting calls. Here we go. I'm just going to click on one that seems interesting to me. How about Blood of the Wolf? That sounds cool. Here we go. Looks very anime-ish. Most of them do on this website. And he has 13 roles. 4 of them are open. He's gotten 139 auditions so far. And there are 118 people following it. All right. This is an animation of an original story I'm working on. I need voice actors and animators. I can explain more later in emails or in the description later. He also needs a punctuation advisor. So what exactly will the series be about? It's about a teenage boy named Drake who has a normal, boring life, gets sucked into the chaos of the world of the Lunaps, which is werewolves, yada, 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 yada. He tells you the whole story. You should read that if you're going to audition. Here's his Gmail address. Here's his Outlook address. Here's his Discord. Here's his Patreon if you want to send him some money. Recording requirement. Must have a decent microphone. Okay. So he means don't use your iPhone headphones. Although I hear the more recent ones are pretty good. Meaning you must have minimal background noise to none. So you can see right there the standard is pretty low. Decent microphone, minimal background noise to none. So if you have a dog barking in the back, it's probably okay. If you have a bunch, it's probably not. My time is flexible. I can handle 1 to 2 weeks late of recordings, but any more than that, you'll be uncasted unless for family or personal issues have occurred. All right. So let's go down and see some roles. Drake's mom. Sheila's mom. Extras. Oh, this one's closed. It got cast to someone named Spookback. Hang on, this one's all closed. So where's the open ones? Right here, Drake's mom. All right. Oh, and has a Southern accent. So you get in here and you go, okay, and there's been 15 auditions. Now, here's something a little disconcerting about Casting Call Club. Everybody can listen to your audition. Everybody. So here's Jenna Birmingham's audition.
Jenna Birmingham, Drake's mom. Hey, Drake, how are you? Are you out of school already? Yes, dear. Would you be so kind to buy some milk from the supermarket for me? Bye, Drake.
That's actually a pretty good audition. And her sound's okay. Sounds like it's coming in stronger in my left ear, so I'm wondering how she's recording that. And she says she has a Southern accent in her character demo if you really want or need to hear that, and it's here. And I'm just like, well, he said Southern accent in the thing, so why not just record it in the audition? And she's gotten, I guess, 3 recommendations. People kind of vote up on you and stuff like that here. So here we go. Here's.
Hey, Drake, how are you? Are you out of school already? Hey, Drake, how are you? Are you out of school already? Yes, dear. Would you be so kind to buy some milk from the supermarket for me? Yes, dear. Would you be so kind to buy some milk from the supermarket for me? Bye, Drake. Bye, Drake. Bye-bye, sweetie. Love you.
Not bad. Her acting wasn't as strong as Jenna's, but her Southern accent was actually pretty legit. And I'm pretty harsh on people's Southern accents. And I like the little ad lib there at the end to kind of show she's got it. Let's go down and listen to somebody who might not be good. Let's see. Corgi Booty. I'm just guessing. I don't know that.
Hey, Drake. How are you? Are you out of school already? Hey, Drake. How are you? Are you out of school already?
Yes, dear.
All right. So that's okay. The sound's a little bad. And you can look at the waveform and see how that one's pretty strong looking? Looks like it's peaked a little bit right there and right here. Peaking means that you're too loud for your recording software. You see this? I don't know if you guys could see where I'm pointing the little flatten out there. And hers sounds kind of like she's in a room. So she hasn't learned a lot about the audio production and stuff like that yet. But she's got a decent voice. I'm actually from the southwest of the UK, so if you need it more southern, let me know.
Hey, Drake, how are you? Are you out of school already? Yes, dear. Would you be so kind to buy some milk from...
Right. So if you say southern accent, you might want to say southern U.S. Now, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I can. There's a lot of room noise in hers. And again, that's a pretty easy fix. You just got to go learn from somebody. Anyway, so that's what Casting Call Club looks like. So you'll record your thing. Let me see if I can find. So if I want to do this, I would go submit audition. I would go browse files, and I would just take a file, paste it in there. Here's some notes. Please hire me. And that's that. And this one says it's paid $0. So, yay. You get paid $0. Let's see if we can find one that's paid something here. How about some of you may already be on here and already know what's paid. John? You're muted.
I use Casting Call for a lot of small things.
Oh, do you? Are any of these yours? Are you?
No. No.
It's always changing.
Okay. So look, see, like these, I just skipped the NSFW erotic ones, but there's a lot of those. Like, this is an angsty teen lesbian fan fiction, blah 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 blah. And I was like, yeah, that's not my game.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Well, and also
if
you do regularly audition for projects on this website and you start booking projects, you will start getting messages out of the woodwork of, would you be interested in auditioning for my project? And they range in cringe.
Yeah, I've gotten a few.
Yeah. This actually, this raises a question I've had about this site for a while, and I haven't been able to find an answer. Does anyone know the difference between, I know you can do the upvote where it's like just a little thumbs up on your audition, but there's also a recommendation or recommended for this thing. Does that mean someone else pointed you toward it, or is that just like I liked your thing?
I don't know about are you talking about like the recommendation that shows up on people's profiles?
Like, for example, right there, there's the upvotes, which is just a thumbs up, and then there's a little star right there. I don't know what the difference between the two is.
Oh, the stars are kind of like people can give you a testimonial. So that doesn't really do anything towards that audition. People who've already worked with you, and it shows up on your profile. Like, you can choose to publish the recommendation or not. But it shows up like a testimonial. Like, I worked with Steve. He was very accommodating, very professional, had good sound quality.
Okay, so it's more like an upvote for you rather than your audition.
Right. So like if people go and look at your profile, they can see, oh, somebody has recommended you. And so those stars, like the more recommendations you get, like you'll suddenly have like 1 recommendation, 1 star, 2 stars, so forth and so on.
20 stars
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Yeah. So these pay $5 per roll. That'd be pretty cool to get $5 if you've never gotten money for anything. Here you go. Let's see. Let's listen to V. Bloyer here.
Sometimes I look at myself going dumpster diving and I think, what happened to all the good shit people used to throw away? Never, ever trust a man. Technically, it's why we're overpopulated. I ask this a lot.
Can you guys act normal for once? This is a funeral.
That's not bad. Technical quality is not great. And again, that's what you find here. So if you go in with great technical quality and good acting skills, people are going to hire you on Casting Call Club. It's a fun little site. I've never booked a role on Casting Call Club because I discovered it long after I was making much more than $5 per role. And I'm not being snooty about it. Again, it's a fun place to go, and it's an easy website to use. And on occasion, you will see a $200 job. All right. Behind the voice actors. Anybody ever look at voiceover jobs on Behind the Voice Actors? Some people didn't even know that they had some. This is also where you can go to learn about all your favorite video game and animation and movie voice actors. But if you look right here, kind of hidden on the website, Casting Call. And here we go. Do you have a project that needs voice actors? Click here. Are you an aspiring voice actor looking for roles? Click here. That's me. All right, here we go. Let's look at, we can choose our status. I want jobs that are open. Category. And there's lots of categories. Fan dubs, audiobooks, broadcasts, cartoons, commercials, games, narrations, phone apps, podcasts, songs, and visual novels. And class, fan-made, original, professional, and how do you say that? Machinima? Machinima?
Machinima.
Machinima. No, you must say it with a exaggerated samurai accent. Machinima. Angry. Machinima. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go down here and look at I Love You webtoon fan dub. And they're looking for the character of bartender. This is a recurring role. And here are some member auditions.
Hey, you two. Why are you up here at the bar?
Oof.
You don't look old enough to be here. Show me your ID. Of course. Sorry, I didn't recognize you any sooner, sir. Would you guys like to drink?
Hey, there's a little acting come out in there. You hear the little giggle, the little chuckle in there? Okay.
Raven, auditioning for bartender.
Now, if I didn't have all you here with me right now, I'm already ready to stop listening to this guy, right? For several reasons, but one of them is this doesn't seem like a place where you slate. You don't have to say your name. That's called slating in front of a thing. If it puts your name right there, you know, nobody needs to know. And you don't have to say auditioning for bartender. That's obvious. It's right here.
When would you do that? When would you introduce yourself in like an audio file?
If I feel that it's useful. So a lot of times an agent will say, put your name at the beginning or put your name in our agency. Hi, this is Andy Field with Tag Talent. Or sometimes they say only slate if you have a certain number of takes. Like I might say Andy Field, 3 takes. But then some of them say, don't say anything. I don't care if you have 3 takes. They say, don't say anything. For one of my video game casting companies, I start with how many takes there are just so they know, because there's no way of knowing that unless you just happen to be looking at the waveform and can kind of tell. And so I'll say 2 takes, and then I do my 2 takes, and then I've thrown my name in at the end. So if they've made it all the way through the 2 takes, then they're like, oh, who was that awesome person? I'm like, this is Andy Field. And so, but they can see that in the file name anyway because of their naming convention. But I only do that because I had that casting director as a guest in my class one night, and she said she didn't mind that. In fact, thought it was kind of helpful. So I was like, all right, that's how I'm going to do it from now on. And it wasn't long after that I got a gig. But that may have just been because I was an awesome actor. May not have been because of my slate. Anyway, let's hear Raven.
Hey, you two. Why are you up here at the bar? You don't look old enough to be here. Show me your ID.
Oh, he went Southern.
You don't look old enough to be here. Show me your ID.
He went Western.
Of course. I'm sorry I did not recognize you any sooner, sir. What would you guys like to drink?
And that was an accent from outer space.
It sounds like he keeps going back and forth with accents. One second he's Irish, the next second he's Western.
And he might be trying to show range there. And I'm not sure, you know. And so here's another character.
Reminds me of those dog videos where they use like the speech to text or the text to speech things with like the British voice.
Mm-hmm.
Like bark, bark, woof, borf.
And this one's funny. This dude is a creep. He plays a much bigger part later in the webtoon, and we've got a girl that auditioned for it.
How can I make up this blunder to you, miss?
Yeah, I'm like, why did you audition for this? This is clearly a creepy dude. So anyway, that's behind the voice actors, and there's some gigs in there. I can't tell if these are paid or not, or if they have paid jobs on behind the voice actors. Anybody know?
They do have paid jobs. There's not a lot of them. But.
I'd like to point out that behind the voice actors, there has been a bit of a history when it comes to submitting auditions. Sometimes it just won't accept an audio file, so you have to actually look at the email and try to email an audition to them.
Okay. Well, that's tenacity. That's perseverance. That's awesome.
I will say, though, so my two main projects, one that's recurring for like the next 2 years, I got off behind the voice actors, and I love it. That was a very bad example of production, just FYI. So don't let that deter you from going and looking at other ones.
Okay. Yeah, and definitely play around in this stuff. And is that one paying, or is that a free one?
No, it's free. It was the first one where I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I like to podcast. And so I auditioned. And now it's been so fun. That's how I met Tom.
So Tom
Aglio.
Oh, okay. I thought McKee for some reason.
That's why I'm here, because Tom.
But I'm gonna tell you what. Here's my goal for you is that you make so much money within the next 2 years that you are so mad that you're still stuck in that 2-year free podcast. But I want you to be, I don't want you to be 2 years from now saying, man.
That's my goal too, Andy.
I'm going to hold you to that.
Too.
I'm loving this podcast still. I'm hoping you're so sick of it that
No, I'm not loving the podcast still. That's the problem.
Oh, okay.
It's time to get out of that. But this why I'm here.
Okay, and then Voice Acting Club. I never heard of this one, and some students in one of my classes told me about Voice Acting Club. Which also has some, and I think I've been used in one because there was a fun one night, and I told our whole class, let's all submit for this. And we had to make cat voices. The guy was doing a cartoon about cats, and he was like, make up your own cat and just send me some lines that your cat would say and give me some meows and things like that. And and he didn't have any money, but he said, but what I will do is I'll let you pick out your cat's outfit.
I submitted for that one too.
Yeah,
that one was gold.
I think I'm pretty sure I'm in it because my cat's name was Tex McWhiskers, and instead of saying howdy, he said meowdy, and I was like, "What's up, y'all? I'm Tex McWhiskers, meowdy," you know. And he's like, "I freaking love this. What kind of clothes do you want?" I said, "I'm going to trust you on this one because I can already tell what it's going to be. It's going to be a cowboy hat." And you know, it was fun. But 5 or 6 of my students submitted for that. So here we are. What is this? Voice Acting Club. And they
have it organized by paid and unpaid, which is nice.
There we go. Paid auditions. Read rules before posting. I'm not doing it. All right. So here's games. Paid. All right. We've got announcements, rules. How do I get into voice acting? The mega thread. Casting for interactive escape room noir novel Unmemory. And what's this column? Replies and views. He said 53 views and only 1 reply. Okay, well, let's go here. Let's see what he's got. My name is Jaime Bermudez, and I'm the sound designer and composer of Unmemory. Did you guys hear my Spanish accent? Oh, man. He's got some references. He wants a female bank robber with a sexy voice, another one with a sweet voice, another one with a deep voice, somehow masculine. Male detective with a low, deep-pitched voice. And then you can submit your submissions here. And is there a way to say here how much it pays? How do we know? Oh, somebody asked, what's the compensation? And yeah, and we don't have any other information on that. So I might send him a line or two and email him here, but I wouldn't spend a lot of time here because he may reply back to the email and say, it's $10. And it's 10 minutes of dialogue. And I'd be like, I'm busy, man. I don't have time for that. But he's got a deep voice. Yes, you told us that before. That's the only thing you can remember. And then you read the whole thing, blah, blah, blah. You may want to do 3 takes of that and send it in. Typically, if I audition for something that's this short, I'll do 3 distinct takes, 3 different attitudes. So back when we were looking at our scripts and stuff, and we're like, find the story behind this. Who are you? Who are you talking to? All those things change, and they all change the sound of that. One thing can't change, deep, low-pitched voice. That's a non-negotiable unless you just want to throw something in on your 3rd take that you feel might be a better choice for that character. That's a pretty bold thing to do. But, maybe instead of being deep and low pitched, he's kind of a Dennis Leary, sarcastic Brooklyn kind of cop. Yeah. You told us that before, okay? That's the only thing you can remember, so you could go, if you want to ad lib and do something like that, save that for something after take one. Don't do more than 3 takes. But you're certainly welcome at the beginning of this to say your name. You don't have to, but you would say, Andy Field. Yes, you've told us that before. And maybe in your final name, you should have Andy Field Detective, right? So he knows. Don't slate like this. Hey, this is Andy Field. I live in El Paso. Look, I am excited about this role. I actually have a deep voice, as you can hear, and just getting started in voiceover, so hope you enjoy my audition. Right. I hadn't even listened past the first half sentence. I'm done with you, right? You clearly don't know how this works. So a slate should be very brief. It should not impose on the listener, which is why a lot of times nowadays there's just no slates. Okay. What else we got here? I saw a female one there. Female VA for environmental educational game.
That one is due tomorrow.
Oh, look at this too. Hollyhock Cavern. Okay. This is cute. This looks like a professional production. What's she paying? Do you know?
I have $3 per line. And it says in the document that it's going to be somewhere between 20 and 40 lines total for the character.
Okay, so you're looking at anywhere from $60 to $120. That's really not too shabby for an early role. And you may not get it. Your mentality just has to be, I'm not going to get it, right? I'm going to submit this audition. It was the best I could do. And but a lot of times, it's your technical quality. A lot of times it's your acting quality. They both got to be good, especially for these things, because these people aren't sound engineers. When she gets these, she's not going to edit them for sound. You've got to do that. Audition sent. What a cool idea for a game. Audition sent. Audition sent. Sent you something. Thank you for the opportunity. That looks like a dating profile picture. Looks like something off Tinder or off. I've never been on Tinder. Off eharmony.com or something. There you go. That's how old I am. All right. So those are free and cheap. Okay. Other cheap places and free places to go. Craigslist. The problem with Craigslist is it only goes by one city at a time. So if I were to look in gigs in El Paso, Texas, and search for the word voiceover, what? There is one. Authentic Hispanic voiceover needed, Albuquerque. Spanish or Hispanic? That's a big difference, right?
It's written for you, though. You know it is.
I'm getting pretty good at Spanish pronunciation, and I start Spanish lessons on the 19th. I'm pretty excited.
I made that left turn at Albuquerque.
Yeah. I have to digress there for a minute for you there, buddy. I learned where that joke came from. Does anybody know where I should have made the left turn at Albuquerque joke that Bugs Bunny always made? Bugs Bunny would always pop up out of the ground in the desert with a map and go, oh, I should have made that left turn in Albuquerque. And the joke is when Route 66 was going through Albuquerque, they kept changing their minds about what street was going to be Route 66. You know how you go through a city and you got to make turns to stay on the highway? And they kept changing it, but they wouldn't always move the signs. And so people would come into Albuquerque on Route 66 and they'd turn left and right and stuff, but they'd get lost and they'd end up leaving Albuquerque on some other highway, going some other direction. And so that was always the joke. I should have made that left turn in Albuquerque. And so that's so cool. Anyway, Albuquerque's 3 hours from here, but I'm not a Spanish VO yet. Anyway, so that's Craigslist. But you can also search for words like voice over with a space, nothing. Voice actor, narrator, announcer, or announcer, in the hopes that the client misspelled it. All right, so not much in the El Paso area, but when you go to places so what I use is a website called Search Tempest. Search Tempest will search all of Craigslist in one big search. So, and I used to have a saved search, but it looks like it's gone now. So I will search for voiceover, one word, and then I put this bar, which means or, and in quotes, voice over both words, but with a space in between. narrator, announcer, voice actor. And you can come up with a lot of other terms as you start to find them. And then I'm not looking in the for sale wanted category. I'm looking in gigs. You can also look in jobs, because sometimes the person who's hiring doesn't know the difference between a gig and a job. A gig is a temporary one-time thing, which is voiceover, and a job is come work in my company as an employee. So let's go with gigs. And I'm not going to choose a subcategory, but I normally would choose talent. And then where you could pick any zip code, because we're going to go any distance, and then search. And there's lots of things, and I'm going to skip most of these and not open them up, but you can see the little map where you're looking at. I'm just going to go straight to the coastal areas. Let's go to, I'm looking for New York. Here it is. That's not New York City though, see, because the little thing isn't. Where's it? All right. Here's Southern California. Let's just go straight there. Plenty of voiceover gigs here. Most of them are not great. Some of them are. Let's go to poet, spoken word artist needed for short docufilm. Says here compensation is negotiable. Says they're looking for a poet to read or perform one of their works to act as a voiceover for a short centers on an African-American drag queen. I would like to meet up one day so we can film the audio of you reciting. So I'm out of that already because I don't live in LA. Okay, and so there you go. That's not a lot of info on that. Male voiceover artist needed. $60 flat fee, seeking male voices to perform powerful narration for a 60-second manifesto video for a new nonprofit dedicated to social causes. Must be able to speak rhythmically with a lot of emotion, spoken word poetry experience plus, blah, 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 blah. Self-recording capabilities, send examples of past work. That'd be a demo if you had one. Pay us $60, can pay up front. $60 ain't chump change. That's a nice meal out. That's 3 or 4 people eating at Chili's, right? That's a good evening. That's a full tank of gas in a Suburban. All right. Let's see. This is looking for an editor, so it's probably saying in the gig that he'll deal with voiceover. Looking for female model or actress. Skip that one, ladies. That's not what you're looking for. Wookiee voice actor.
That's it. That's the one for me.
Man, there are more Wookiee gigs on Craigslist, and I can't do a Wookiee sound. Steve, I bet you can.
I will fight you for that gig.
Do it. Do it. That's nice. Yeah, I can't do it.
I know when I've been beat.
Yeah, I can't do it.
I've been teaching people to do it for years. You got to combine a yawn with rolling your R's like in Spanish.
Yeah, okay. I'll work.
There it is.
Pretty good.
I'll be sexy with it.
So this is Wookiee Noises, $75 to $125 per hour, limited hours. Anyway, but it always says this: call the number below, leave your best Wookiee impersonation on the voicemail. I'll be getting a lot of these calls, so please understand the top 10 will get callbacks. I've been seeing that exact same set of instructions for like 3 years now for all the Wookiee things. So I don't know. But I would do it. I mean, I would call and leave a Wookiee sound and see what came of it. Need gay male voiceover talent? Let me go ahead and click on that. Oh, that's awful. That's erotic work. Okay. There's a lot of phone sex opportunities for those of you out there who are interested in that sort of thing, mostly for girls. And then I don't see a whole lot else here. But anyway, Craigslist often has stuff. And then let me show you Upwork. Anybody been on Upwork?
I have, but I haven't mastered it yet.
I've gotten some decent money on Upwork, and I've had a couple of students. Sarah, were you in the class with Michael Dubas?
Yes.
Yeah, Michael.
Is that how he got that really monstrous project?
Yeah, but then he like started on it, and it just never panned out. But
Oh no!
It was like the first day he contacted me back. He said, "I had no idea that 60 minutes of e-learning narration was so difficult." I was like, "It is. It's the worst." So,
long narration is.
Oh, it's painful, especially if it was an odd thing. Anyway, this is Upwork. It used to be Odesk and Elance, and those two merged to create Upwork. And so you set yourself up a free account on Upwork. Let me see if I can remember what mine is. I wonder if it's the same. Well, it looks like it might have been fieldt@gmail.com. Okay. Oh, look, my password auto-populated. Probably from the last class because I haven't been on since. All right, so you go here and you set up your profile and all that. And you say, I'm looking for voiceover work and all that, so that it's not showing you freelance jobs for animators, computer programmers, or whatever. And I've hired computer programmers, graphic designers, and all kind of stuff on Upwork. But if you'll see here, my recent search is voiceover. Let's just go with that. And you can figure out different ways to search and dig and all that stuff. So here, this has the word voiceover in it, but they're looking for a marketing and sales expert. So that's not a voiceover job. 3,600 word voiceover. In my brain, that sounds like 36 minutes, about 100 words a minute. It's probably a little faster the way I talk. Sales letter. I've made big money on sales letters. Need a male voiceover talent for doctor character. $250. I think that's low for 3,600 words, but I sure would have jumped on it a couple of years ago. Let's look at it. And there's some other things you can look at. This hirer has posted 44 jobs on this website before and has hired 71% of them here, has currently 5 open jobs, has spent $40,000 here on this website. Average hourly rate is $26.91. And that doesn't mean they've hired all voice actors. They could have. So here's what we want. Doctor's perspective. Our audience is men and women 55 plus. The doctor character we use in our story has been in practice 31 years. So an older sounding voice is a plus. Okay. So, so you want to cozy up to the mic and go a little lower and slow down. Okay. Don't go Southern like I just did. I don't know why I did that. Calm yet energetic. So this is somebody who is a doctor, but is excited about being a doctor. 20 minutes or so. We don't want to wear our listeners out. At the same time, we don't want to put them to sleep. Somewhere in the middle is perfect. Less energy than radio or a Billy Mays ad, but more energy than a lecture. Probably more energetic than a TED Talk as well. That's some pretty good direction. At least they know they're supposed to give you something. Please apply with your quote, when you can get it done by, as well as a sample. I'll send you the script after we make contact, or if you'd like to give me a demo. The exact word count is 3,607. Fixed price, $250. He's willing to take 20 to 50 proposals on that. So what you do is you go here to submit a proposal. This proposal requires 2 connects. Connects are like credits on this website. You get a certain number of credits each month. They're called connects. And you have to spend 2 of them to submit this proposal. That discourages you from just submitting to everything. Once you're, if let's see, when I submit a proposal, I'll have 58 connects remaining, and they'll reset on March 7th, so 2 days from now. So I haven't done anything in the past month. But what that means is I can't submit for more than about 30 jobs a month, about 1 a day. If you have a paid account, which is like $10 a month, you can increase this number of connects a lot. If you really find that you're getting some traction on Upwork. How do you want to be paid, by milestone or by project? I would just say by the whole project. And it's $250. Upwork gets 50% of that. That's 20%. That's not bad considering this website is free. You'd have given an agent 10%. And there's other websites you pay for. How long will this project take? I'm going to say less than a week. I'm going to give them a cover letter. Hey, I like doing this, blah, 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 blah. I'm also, my dad's a doctor, or I majored in nursing for a semester, so I know how to pronounce things, blah, blah, blah. And then I put my project file there, my attachment, under 25 megabytes. That's in MP3 format, mono, and no slate. You don't need a slate because you got your name here in the cover letter that he'll be reading when he's listening to that. If you're a girl and you're bold, you may want to give this a shot. Who says a doctor has to be a man, right? So, and that may be worth doing, but he doesn't have a script, so you kind of have to do. I would just look up some sort of medical thing and read it. Okay. And then here's other jobs that it recommends to you as we go. Here's another sales video script. It's probably the same person. $235. So it sounds like they're trying to pay by the word. Anyway, that's Upwork. And here's a male VSL, voiceover. VSL is a video sales letter. 8,900 words, 180 words per minute, $200. I would run from this unless you really just like narrating things. 8,900 words is an hour and a half. And they're already, you could tell, kind of picky because they want it at 180 words a minute. and I am not recording you in an hour and a half narration, so you can email me back and say, that was too fast. Can you do it again? I would be like, no, I cannot. Goodbye. Here's a $100 one, female voiceover for Photography Studio's introductory video, approximately 1 to 2 minutes in length, looking blah, 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 and it tells you the thing. $100. Posted 7 hours ago. Okay, that's Upwork. And there's more. Somebody give me other ideas of where you found free and cheap voiceover work, and on occasion maybe gotten lucky.
Twitter referrals.
What do you mean by that?
A lot of times I see casting calls posted by Sarah Ruth will retweet them. Other people on Twitter will retweet casting calls sent from a company's Twitter account.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's usually like record these lines, submit them to this email account, and we will begin the casting process on this day or something like that.
I've submitted to things like that before, and sometimes those pay well.
If you're involved in some voice acting communities through Discord, a lot of times they'll post those. So like that website we were on, Voice Acting Club, they have a Discord, and there's often a lot of subcategories where sometimes certain casting calls won't make it onto those websites because they'll cast them directly right there since there's already a pool of talent right there.
Very good. And I'll tell you, if you're good, well, go ahead, Jenny. I see you unmuted.
There's also record this on Reddit. There's not always a lot on there, but you can occasionally, like, especially if you use Reddit already, it'll like pop up and you'll see that.
Yeah, there's a lot of resources for voice actors on Reddit as well. There's a couple of subreddits that are run by reputable voice actors. Oh, geez, I can't remember his name now. He's a friend of mine. Carson Beck. Carson Beck runs one. Carson's a stud of a voice actor and audio producer. Does demo. He produces demos as well. And he's watching that subreddit pretty well, making sure you don't contribute poorly to it. And then on occasion, voice actors hire each other. That's usually not cheap or free work, but on occasion it is. I've got a lot of cheap and free work that I hire voice talent for. I think Sarah Ruth has booked a couple of roles. I got a lot of Chinese clients, and Chinese clients don't pay well. So it's often kind of embarrassing to get on the big Facebook groups and say, hey, everybody, I've got a video game that pays $3 a line, which is great if there's 100 lines. It sucks if there's 3 lines, but it's still fun. And so over time, if you guys think you have a decent enough sound, just email me and say, hey, put me on the list. I haven't gotten a lot of castings from them lately. They had a big Chinese holiday a few weeks ago, and I don't know if they've recovered much from it. But a lot of times, guys, you'll get a lot less from me if you want to get on that list, because usually they just say, hey, Andy, here's a guy role, record these lines. And I just get it. But what happened was, I wanted to stay on top of mind for that client. I said, hey, I can help you find other voices too, because I don't want a client to say, well, Andy was great, and then 3 months later they need me again, and they forgot my name. They're like, who was that guy that played the druid? Oh, whatever, let's just cast it again, right? And so I'm top of mind. They just say, hey, Andy, here's, we've got 3 female roles. And what happens is then they just, once they've decided they like you, Sarah, were you in the class with Tamara Fritz? They stinking love her. They email me all the time and say, here are 4 lines. Will you ask Tamara to record these? And
I mean, she is fantastic. So, yay!
Yeah, and then, but on occasion they do it. I don't know if they've asked for you by name, but it wouldn't surprise me. And they've asked for Julie Shields by names a couple times and all that. And Julie gets aggravated at the low rates, and I may just have to take her off the roster. Sometimes she gets really mad about it.
Just keep the casting calls coming.
Yep.
Keep them coming. I try for all of them.
But I'm going to tell you what, guys. I made friends with somebody on Facebook who was doing voiceovers in China, and they were like, would you be interested? We know our rates are kind of low, and their rates are kind of low. They're $10 a minute. But I got a friend who's doing $10 a minute jobs, and he's making $600 a day recording crappy Chinese scripts. $600 a day. That's $12,000 a month. That's $144,000 a year. That's more than probably your mayor makes if you don't live in a big town. That's more than your school principal made, right? That's insane. And the Chinese scripts are absolutely awful. So he sends me scripts. He pays me $15 if it's only 1 minute long. But I was a teacher at the time I accepted that, and I told myself, if I made $10 a day extra, that's $2,400 a year if I only work weekdays. As a school teacher, do you know how big a pay raise $2,400 a year is? That's insane. That's more than you get for earning a master's degree. You get about $1,500 a year for earning a master's degree. And over time, that if you've been teaching 30 years, then that gap is a little bit bigger too. Maybe you're making $4,000 more than a bachelor's degree teacher at the 30-year mark. But I'm like, $10 a day, and it's nothing, and I don't have to edit it. I literally go blah 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 blah, and if I have a mess up, then I fix that, and I send it to him unedited. I don't edit my breaths, nothing. Terrible scripts. They love the word etc. They love lists, long lists of characteristics of their business, and sometimes it's a 9-minute script about the business. And I'm like, I got nothing else to do, and it's $90, and I'm not trying to preserve Chinese voiceover rates. That's $90. Send me $90 a day, right? $90 a day. What's that? That's $450 a week. That's $1,800 a month. That's more than I made as a teacher my first year. That's insane. So there's junk out there all over the place. Let me give you one more place. No, I'm going to do that for marketing later. So here's your homework. We're 2 minutes past time. Your homework is to submit 5 auditions somewhere. Some of you are like, no problem. I did that today. Some of you are like, gulp. Oh my gosh. And I don't want to go to Casting Call Club where everybody will listen to my stuff. But submit 5 auditions anywhere. Then the homework is to post in the Facebook where I put the assignment. Say, hey, I did it. Here's what it was like. Here's how I felt about it. Here were my observations, that kind of stuff. For some of you who just are old hat at this, then just still tell us about it. Say, yeah, I did it. I do it all the time. I submitted these 3 things. And I did it on this website, or I did it through this, or, tell us where you found it.
They always suck. Auditions always suck.
I enjoy them, especially if there's a good script. Oh my gosh, a good script. I'll even say that was a great script. I like funny ones. I really want funny ones. Or something that allows me to be a little bit of a character, like that Steve Ross raccoon thing that you submitted earlier in this class. That was hilarious. If you told me to do a Progressive commercial as a raccoon, I'd have had a blast with that. Or Tex McWhister's the cat, or whatever. So
I'm still upset that I missed that cat thing.
It was cute. Everybody just thought it was adorable. It was. I'll definitely send him that thing. So anyway, 5 auditions anywhere. Casting Call Club, Behind the Voice Actors, voices.com if you're on there, Upwork, Craigslist. Craigslist is always interesting. Tell us, well, I emailed this dude. He seemed a little sketch, and so I just said, never mind. And so, he wanted me to do sexual affirmations for his weightlifting routine. You are muscular. You are a funny man.
Embrace the goo.
It was something. But I have a friend, Michelle Moss, who records lots of meditative affirmations, and she's got a wonderful ethereal voice for it. She played Ballora in the Five Nights at Freddy's series. If you watch that, if you know those things, so she has this voice, this very ethereal voice. Anyway, questions on the homework?
I had one for Sarah, actually. I was wondering if you might drop the link to that Discord you were talking about.
Oh, cool.
Absolutely. Here, let me...
Drop it in the Facebook group, though, because if you drop it here...
Yeah, it'll vanish. Sure, I can do that.
And speaking of which, somebody posted online, I think one of you is going to hire Sarah for some acting lessons. I can't remember who it was, but cool to that. So anyway... cool, Sarah, and you learn a lot by teaching a lot too. So I'm pretty pumped about that.
This is an entirely selfish endeavor. I just like to teach because it just helps me figure out. I have little epiphanies during my lessons. It's really cool.
Don't you? I'm going to tell you what, after teaching the demo lesson that I taught last week 4 times, man, I have got my opinions about demos. Man, I know what I'm listening for in a demo. And I told, and I'm going to tell Chuck Duran, look, I'm going to lead with funny. Make my strongest piece second if you need to, but my first piece needs to be funny. And I need this to be 59 or less seconds so I can fit the whole thing on Instagram. That's it. That's everything else, Chuck Duran. It's up to you. But I want to lead with funny, no matter what you think. I don't care if you think the industry doesn't like that. I know that funny gets the second clip listened to. I mean, as long as the first clip is funny and good. I mean, I don't want to listen to a clip of you telling jokes and then, at the end go, well, that was good jokes. Not a good voice actor. All right, guys, we're 6 minutes over. So we will see you next Tuesday. I will be joining you from Branson, Missouri on spring break with my family. What are you making that face for? It's like the greatest place on earth. It's the second biggest vacation spot in America after Disney World. And I'm going to Branson Comic-Con with Chuck, and then I'm just staying for the week for spring break. So we'll be in Branson, and it will be fun, and we will talk more. Bye, guys.
Bye, Andy. Thank you.
I'm going to make somebody a host. I'm going to make, let's see, Sarah Ruth, you're social. You're the host. All right, here you go. Bye.
Oh, dadgummit. Don't do that. It's all